Hello everyone, Ceri the Crafter here, that's C-E-R-I the Crafter, and I'm here with another page in my hashtag Mixed Media March 25 challenge. Now, if you're not sure what that's about, pop into the description box. You should find it underneath the video. In there, there's a link to the launch video. Everything in there will be explained. So we're up to page 22 today, and this was yesterday, and I still love that dearly. Now, when I was going through this yesterday, I became acutely aware that I have a huge amount of scraps building up, and I thought I just want to do something with the scraps today. So let's put this aside because I'll be putting stuff into it later on. Now, I went through my scraps and I dug out all of the full scraps, the ones that hadn't been torn, used or anything yet. So we've still got a good bit to go in there. And I took all the scraps out and I spent about an hour this morning and I tore them all into squares and rectangles, taking off the jagged edges and that, because you don't need to see me doing that. So my thing is, I'm going to take out the largest ones, I think. Anything that looks too huge. Why am I turning them upside down in there? Because I think what I want to do today is I want to use some up and I'm going to make a masterboard. That's probably a bit big. I mean, if I run out of pieces, I can always reach back in to get some. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a masterboard with the scraps. And then I'm going to make something or some things from the scraps into my art journal. So don't know what it is yet. I've got a feeling it's probably going to be an arty type of pocket, maybe a couple of pockets, maybe some tags. Don't know whether I'm going to embellish them. I know that I've got some larger embellishment pieces, especially in my bird collection. I might have a look. There may be something in the birds that go on here because I don't think we've done a lot with birds this time. So let's move. Right, so I'm going to keep my scraps upside down until they flip over, obviously. And I'm not going to pick and choose what I pick out. I'm literally going to dip my hand into it and pull out the next piece, and whatever the next piece is, it's going to be stuck down unless there's an absolute problem. I'm like, oh, that can't go there because I've already got it there. Okay, I'm going to be using glue stick, and this is the brand of glue stick I use. I have got a new one because I think this is feeling a bit light, so that makes me think that it's coming to the end of its days. I also have a box of magazine pages here from where I was harvesting magazines, so I can glue upon those. And I've got a piece of, this is quite flimsy craft. I'd probably call this heavy duty craft paper, not even card. It's about 11 1/4 by 11 3/4. It was from a very, very peculiar scrapbook. So I just basically, I've ripped the page off and trimmed out the edge. So we're just going to pick from here and glue on here. So I'm just going to grab my very first piece of paper. Hello, Morgan, how you doing? And let's start with the one right on top. What is it? It's gold. Okay. Now, when it comes to using glue stick for masterboards or collage or anything, I do hear people say that they never trust their glue sticks because it comes up and stuff like that. I'm quite a heavy gluer. I mean, I really do. If something's going to have glue on it, it's going to really have glue on it as far as I'm concerned. So put that in the corner. I'm just using a cake. This is a cake scraper from my days of being a cake decorator. And I'm just using it to smooth it down. You can get things like this in the Dollar Tree. Go to the cake decorating aisle. You're bound to see there's usually a pack of 3 you can pick up. And they're very inexpensive. So what's this one? Okay, luckily enough, it's got some red on it, gold on it. Now, I tend to do the corners first. There isn't a methodology really about the way I create a masterboard. I just do, I'm a creature of habit. So I like doing the corners because the corners are the things that normally cause me the most stress. So I also like working from the outside to the in. Some people start in the middle and work out. I can't, that doesn't work for me. Okay, right, that's another healthy looking piece. Get that stuck down. So this should be quite a quick process of building the masterboard. What's going to be slightly longer is probably me deciding what's going to be on the masterboard and what I'm going to make of it and how I'm going to decorate it. Because I don't know, I mean, I could come in here and there's a very good chance I could stamp over the top, or I could make directly on top of the masterboard. So masterboards are one of my favourite things to do, I must admit. Right. Okay, I said we put it down. Actually, I didn't say I wouldn't cut it in half though, did I? Right, bear with me. I'll put it down, but I can't put it down in one long strip. It's almost too long for the piece I've got on here. So yeah, masterboards are one of the favourite things I do. I use them a lot. I do everything from making journal ephemera from them to making journal covers sometimes with them. I will do journal toppers. I will do panels that I then maybe do mixed media stuff over the top of. There's a lot of things I do, guys, a lot of things with them. Also, it's a good way of me corralling my scraps so they don't overwhelm me, because with my anxiety, sometimes if there's too much clutter or too much of something, I get a little bit overwhelmed. I'm just going to turn this just for convenience of filming for me, to be honest. But yes, I really do use up my scraps a lot. Anyone who's seen one of my videos will know that. Also, I tend to, you know, there's 12 by 12 scrapbooks you can buy. I find them very often here in the UK. They're in my charity shops or my thrift shops. And I think everyone likes the idea of a scrapbook. But how many people end up making a 12 by 12 scrapbook? Now, when I lived in America, I know that they were very popular. I have to rip that off a little. Or could I just come down here? I could come down there. They were very popular, and people would scrapbook. And well, I've got one person I know called Ceri. She's scrapbooked every year of her life, all the way through her education, her schooling, her further education. I mean, she has shelves and shelves of these books that are already done. I mean, what she's ever going to do with them, I do not know, but you know, that's her choice. I think her mother curses her for them because they're just taking over everything. But that's, I mean, she's married and she's moved out now, but she's conveniently left all the scrapbooks at her mother's place. Right. Okay, that needs sorting because I can't have that much white on it. That's not going to work for me. I don't mind the piece itself, but so yeah, the whole scrapbook thing, I find them in recycle areas. I find them in my hobby craft on sale. I very often find them, as I said, in thrift shops or charity shops, and they'll just be like £2 or something like that, because no one seems to know what to do with them, which I think is a little bit narrow-minded, but there you go. But I like them, and it means that if you reckon, say I spent £2 for a 12 by 12 scrapbook, I've actually spent £2 on a whole pack of 12 by 12 papers and the front cover and the back cover that could both be cut down and turned into journal boards. So I look at them more as a resource than as a scrapbook, although I do scrapbook with masterboard within them. So just a thought, just think of it that way, especially if you're someone who does gel printing. I know, because I've got a 12 by 12 gel plate, that getting paper for my 12 by 12 gel plate, it can work expensive when you're asking to buy 12 by 12 sheets of paper, or I've got 250 GSM cardstock is what I use on my gel plate. But if I can find a scrapbook, then that's a more convenient way for me to do it. So just a thought, guys. Right, that's over there, so this needs to come over here. I try not to put two pieces next to each other that are the same. And when these little pieces come over the edge, the last thing I'll do, I will trim this. I'll get my trimmer out and I'll give this a good trim all the way around the edges, purely because I want things neatened up. And also I know that if I've misglued anything, it's likely to be on the edge. So if I trim all the edges, then anything that maybe I've not quite captured perfectly with my glue actually just gets chopped off. Never a problem, I feel. So right, so I'm literally working. Right, I'm beginning to get a lot of this, so I'm going to do a bit of a reshuffle, guys. I'm going to sort out some from the middle, some from the top, move them around, tweak them a little bit. That looks a bit big to me. I'm trying to get smaller pieces out of the box. It's large. Okay. Oh, that was from yesterday. Okay, that can come in. Where do I want it to come into, though? Let's put it in there. So this is one that's just got tissue over the top of it. As I said, it was from yesterday's image transfer project, which I still absolutely love, and apparently you do too. Now, if you're not familiar with what the hashtag part of a challenge is, just going to turn this again, or I'm getting into a habit of doing stripes that way. If you were to go onto any of your social media, or go into Safari or Chrome or whatever engine you're using as an internet search engine, and you can actually do this on Pinterest as well, because I know I've got a Pinterest account. If you were to go into any of those accounts and put in hashtag mixed media March 25, you will get a whole load of posts come up that you can look at. Some will be images, some will be videos, some will be just references to it and comments. There's a whole slew of stuff out there. The good thing is, however, each of them is relating to either an art or a technique or just anything related to mixed media. So there's some beautiful stuff being made, guys. Just pop on and have a look around. That's all I'd say. I mean, when I was posting yesterday, there's well in excess of 1,000 posts on social media currently about Mixed Media March. So that'll just tell you what resources are out there. Now, I only do Facebook and YouTube, but I do know people do Instagram, they do, oh gosh, what are the other ones? TikTok, X, or is it Twitter now? It's not Twitter, it was Twitter. What is it? It's X. I don't know, I get confused by that. I don't know what the heck that man was doing when he renamed it, but it confused the heck out of me, I can tell you. I'm just going to snip that bit off, because it's going to stick to my mat. Now you cleaned my mat this morning, and already I've got stuff on it. Get that off before it dries. And then this little piece here, just pop on there. Just because it's got glue on it already, why would I not? Little areas like that don't worry me, because I know somewhere along the way I'm going to come up with a little piece that's going to need to go into that gap. So right, I've got another one of these long strips. I'm going to pass on this because it obviously is not appropriate for what I've got. So that's going to go to one side. I might revisit it. This feels too big. I'm trying this. We're back to this pile again. There must have been a lot of this. As you can see, I'm just trying to get rid of as much as I can out of here. Right. Now, if I get to a situation like this, I can pull this one in. And I could come down and potentially use that to fill in that gap there. Yeah, I'm going to have papers at the end of this. I know I am, because there's only, after this, there's only 9 more projects to do. And there's a heck of a lot of paper here. So I'm beginning to wonder what I wanted to do with all of that. I'm wondering whether to actually make an art journal for myself with those as the signatures. I just don't know what to do with it. So I need to take a piece off this. I thought I had a ruler somewhere. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to find out how I use that, because I don't want to just keep adding things to my scrap pile, because I already have a drawer full of arty papers. I suppose I could make them into envelopes, because they are on music paper, so I could, yes, I might be able to make envelopes out of them. Mind you, then I'm going to have a whole load of envelopes, and I already got a load of envelopes. I'll have to have a good think about that. I mean, I could do more masterboards, but then I've already got a couple of masterboards already made up with this similar stuff to it. I don't know. I'll have to think about that. Maybe we'll have to have a project in April where I revisit and reuse things from there. Right, see, I've got another strip here, so I could come in with this piece. Oh, it's green, and that's green. I'd rather not do that. Right, let's see if I fit this little piece in. And I know someone is going to say, why don't I make paper packs to sell? I don't have an outlet to sell with. I gave up Etsy last year. I just wasn't happy with the way Etsy was going. It was a choice. It was a personal choice on my part. Right, there's too many of this on here, so this piece needs to go to one side. What is this? That's an interesting strip. Now, the thing is, I'd rather it went that way, I think. And that's given me this little tiny square, which can just pop in there. I knew something would come up eventually. Now, if you hear knocking and you've been watching my other videos so far this week or this month, you'll know my neighbour is actually having their roof done. Which piece was I using? They're having their roof done, so just be aware that there's nothing I can do about it. I mean, they're working all day on it most days, so I can't sort of put my videoing off to the next day, because that's not going to happen. It's a daily challenge. I've got to get this thing done. Right. I think I'll put that one to one side as well. Right, what are you? Right, we're beginning to get duplicates, and I don't want to put duplicates in here, so right, that's not a duplicate though. And I could probably get this down in a couple of places. I very often get asked, what is a masterboard and why do you do them? A masterboard, in my mind, is just a resource. It's a resource that uses up scraps. A masterboard can be any size you choose. Like, it can be anything from a 12 by 12, which is how I normally do them, all the way down to something like a 6 by 4, or even smaller. To be honest, you can do a masterboard onto, say, an artist trading card, which is 2.5 inches by 3.5 inches. How useful that's going to be, and is that actually a masterboard? It's only a masterboard if you cut it down further into other dimensions. So, and the point of them is, literally, as I said, it's a resource. So you cut them up, you turn them into something else. It's basically a way of giving yourself craft papers and card that is useful for other things, made out of stuff you already have. I find it's quite difficult to explain what they are, to be honest with you. I really like this piece. Okay, that's getting really messy. That needs a bigger piece in it. I can do that. I don't mind overlapping things, because all of the paper here is quite thin paper. If it was thicker, I probably wouldn't overlap. And I quite like the way it matches up with that edge there. And my glue stick just died. And I've got my other glue stick, which means I've got to break this one in a bit. So, right, who are you? What are you? Oh, that's a good piece. I quite like that. I wonder. I come across there. That's probably I haven't cut that wrong. That'll do. I don't mind that. That looks wonky to me, but I don't know what's going to end up where on this page, so I'm not going to worry about it. Worry is for another day, not today. Okay, right, I'm going to turn this around because I've got other areas I can work on this side. Right, I really like this bit here. I think that's going to go down there. See, so I probably used about, probably about a fifth of my scraps. So I could make a few more of these, but I don't want to keep making them if I'm just going to be putting them on a shelf and not using them. So I'm just going to cut that bit off again, not because I'm going to reuse it, but because I don't want it gluing itself all over my board. And then potentially I'll put something on top of it and it'll glue it to that. So let's get rid of a bit of glue as well. I've forgotten where I did that, right. So we're down to our last couple of spaces. I don't want to use this because if I use this, it's going to be in close proximity to the same sort of thing. Gold. Now we did have gold and I don't mind the eye resting a little. I'm going to have to take this down a bit. I chose to tear my pieces this time. I usually would cut them. Does that go all the way to the top? It does. Take that off there, which is in turn made 2 more scraps. Isn't it funny? Scraps make scraps. No matter how hard you work at getting the scraps down, you'll still end up with more scraps. I actually wish I had some circus ephemera because this is reminding me a bit of like carnival and circus and all of that, but I don't have any circus ephemera. And if you think I'm going to start trying to draw and paint clowns and things like that, that's not going to happen. So I've got one strip here. Let's see if I can pull out one piece. Oh, gold. Right, it can't be gold. I'm trying to look at a piece that might fit. That's that. Oh, what are you? Gold. That's too, oh, that's beautiful though. But it's too big for what I need. Right, would you fit? You're gold. You're not wide enough, or are you? Oh, you're the same as the one next to you. That's the same as that one. That's almost that one. Leave that one to one side because I might be able to do something with that. Right, I don't really want that in there. That's very similar to those. That's just at the end of something. What's this? Oh, next to purple. These are all just very similar to this in colour. Right, that's too small anyway. That's too small. Is there anything in here that I can just... Oh, that's very dramatic. And yes, it is purple, but I don't mind that because it's a different sort of purple. So I just take that edge off there. Another scrap. And there we are. We've created our masterboard. So my next step for me now is I'm going to pause the video and I'm going to come and make sure all of these edges are trimmed neatly. And I'm going to give it a bit of a thought as to what I want to make. I sort of have in mind while I was doing this that I do quite like the idea of using my birds up on these. Because birds can be quite colourful, like flowers can be quite colourful. Not sure the birds I've got are colourful, but we might do a bird piece. So that's all nicely trimmed down. Now, I need to sort of work out what I'm doing, and I've got, let me just open this up and show you. So this is the page I'm going to be working on. Now, I have a feeling I'd quite like to do quite a big pocket here with the largest journal card behind it, and then maybe put two smaller pockets on the front of it and have two tags. That's what I'm thinking. So first of all, I need to work out how wide I want this pocket. Now, I know it's usually about 7.5, but do I want something that wide? I could do 7. So if I did something 7 by 3, just move you to one side, just so I don't damage you. So 7 by 3. Also, some of it's going to cover up other bits of it, so that's fine. So 7 inches by 3. Let's do the 3 measurement first. So this will be the height of my pocket, and we said 7. So that gives me my 7 by 3, which works there. I'm wondering whether I want to do a bigger pocket, like a deeper pocket. Because how much do I need for, so the journal tag in total, not tag, card, the maximum would be 8, which I'll be happy if it was 7. So do I have 7 here that I can turn a journal card from? I do, and how wide would I make it? If I do it by 6. So if I do 7 by 6, let's do that. How high is that? That's 8.5. So if that was behind there, it's too big, which is good because I said the word it's 7. So just having a think, I want to try 7.5. So that would be my journal card behind, which is a big journal card. That would be my front pocket. And I still have this, which is good. If I had 2.5 and 2.5, 2.5. So if I make 2 tags at 2.5 inches tall, by whatever height this piece is, and I'm going to cut from the opposite end so the tags don't match each other. So that will give me that and that. And I need to make a bit of a pocket for them down here. Now, do I want to do one long pocket? Can I do one long pocket? I can't. I have to do 2 smaller pockets. What is this? That's 5. If I make it a 2.5 inch pocket, I can always trim this down in a minute. So 2.5. by 2.5. Right, so those pockets would go there. They need to be trimmed down a little bit. So trying to keep them both the same size now. Now I'm not adding too much bulk to this journal, and that's good. If I put one there, so if that fit in there, it would fit in there. And this one would fit in there. Now I don't want these pockets shallower. I kind of think I do. As I said, not an exact science. In fact, I don't think it's a science at all. It's just me having a go. Right, so that gives me that and that. It'd have to be that way round because I can't have that next to that. Right, so I think, why does that not look this? It is the same. I think that's okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in with a small round punch. I think this is possibly an inch. I'm just going to put a notch middle-ish. Hopefully it works, because I know the pages are, these pieces not fully dry. So that makes that. Let's put those up there. Oh, I have preferences to up or down. Quite like that in that corner. Right, so if I pull these together, now I've got a bit of a gadget. Where have I put my gadget? Right. This is a little gadget I made out of a store card, just so I can cut corners on things. There is a video. It might be something. I'll see if I can find it and put it in the description box. I think it's something like corner tag or perfect tag corners or something like that. The video, I will find it. It will be in my description box for you guys. So just coming in, I'm cutting both of them at the same time. And make sure I turn it over and cut it from the reverse side. Now the question for me is, this isn't a journal that's ever going to be written in, and the backs are plain craft card. Normally, would I cover them? Yes, I would. Do I need to cover them in here? No, I don't, because I think I'm quite happy because they're quite lightweight. So that gives me my 2 pockets. And it gives me my 2 tags. Now this pocket here does need a bit of a middle notch. I think I like it that way actually. Right, so I'm going to do something I don't normally do, and that is I'm going to measure this so I've got roughly an idea where the center is. So when I put the notch in it, now this is the one that sometimes plays up, so fingers crossed for me, guys. I gave it one sharp squeeze. It happened. Right, so then that gives me this pocket. Right, you're seeing all this, aren't you? I suddenly realised I haven't even checked. Now, when it comes to this, I think I would like, I thought I had another cut here, so I think I would like to round the corners on this. So I'm going to use this size here, which is the 7mm round, just to take the corners off. So that's given me that, which will sit within that, which will have these attached to the front, like so. And I've attached them almost to the bottom. That works for me. And then we'll have a tag and a tag and a tag, or the other way around. Okay, right, my brain isn't hurting anymore. I've got that sorted. What have I got left? So I do actually have that strip, which is probably useful. I can use that for a cluster. And I do have a spare journal card, so I'm just going to round the corners on this, because if I'm doing journal cards, let's do that one with the bigger one. If I'm doing journal cards today, I might as well just finish this one off. Not sure it's going to go into this journal because there isn't somewhere unless it tucked in with the big one, but we'll work on it anyway. So now everything is inked. I'm going to put certain things aside, like the journal cards and the journal tags, and I just want to put the pockets in here just because it will give me some sort of working perspective. So I'm going to use Art Glitter Glue. Art Glitter Glue is a brand. It doesn't contain glitter. I don't know where the name came from. Originally, maybe it was a glue originally meant for glitter. Or the company was called Art Glitter Glue. Or Art Glitter, anyway, it's a brand. I'm using it because it's paper, it's card to card. Now I'm going to make sure I leave enough space for my number and signature to go underneath. And hopefully I've got that straight. Set that up so I can press that down. Because once our glitter glue is in place, it's usually in place. It does help to give it a good press down or burnish it with like something like this, but I don't really want to at the moment because I've got enough going on. I don't want to give up my hand to do that. Now, just try to balance it there. So I've got this and this. Now, the way I was thinking of this, I've got that there, so I want this one on this side. And I've got this here because I know that if I get it right, this tag will go in here, which will be balanced off by that one. I know you probably don't think like that when you put your stuff in, but that's how my brain works. And then these can be drying in place. And it's good for me to have everything in place and attached because I may need to test how things go in and out of pockets. Do they slide in neatly and easily? Do they pull out? So I'm lining up and leaving a little bit of an edge to one side, probably, oh gosh, it's probably about 2 millimeters, or if you're in inches, probably about an eighth ballpark. I did ink around things so they can be seen. You're not going to stay on there. The pressure must be changed because my glue is erupting today. I definitely feel we're heading towards a beautiful spring. Although it was raining today, but that doesn't bother me. I've got a garden. I'm always quite welcome of rain when we can get it. Not copious amounts of it, obviously, but enough. Now, some of you may be wondering, aren't these all looking similar to the background? So would you see them? At this stage, that is true. However, the moment you start decorating stuff and putting it in, it'll give you a contrast between the two. So I'll just press that down. Right. So now I need to put that by there. I need to focus on this tag, and this journal card. I'm going to do this one as well, just for giggles. Now, I wanted to double check because I've moved the pocket up from where I thought it was. And luckily enough, I still have a top area above it. So that's not a problem because I wanted this to put my number and my signature in. So let's take that out. So just leave those dry. I need to sort this out because it's erupting everywhere. So, and I'm back. Now, all of this is ready to go. I have tested everything. It will fit into these pockets, no problem. Some of you may be wondering, so I'll pull in just a little bit more into screen for you because we've been working on that as I go. Some of you are probably wondering why I'm not doing a side pocket. The reason I would love to have done a side pocket this way probably, but with the way this opens and closes, if I've got a top loading pocket and pockets, things are less likely to slip out of them when it's a concertina journal. If it was a regular junk journal or a writing journal that I'd created, then yes, by all means, I would be having side pockets, side tucks, up tucks, all of the above and mentioned. So see what I mean? I'm just working with using the concertina journal to guide me. This little one, as I said, could go into the middle of there, but it's going to be decorated just as a spare in my collection. So first thing is, let's look at some possible images for these. I pulled out the birds. So if I can find the birds that I want to put on these, then I can work backwards and work out what the background will be. So can you see that? If I do it this side, you possibly can. Okay, right. So something like this is sort of mediocre size. It wouldn't really fit. Let's just put the lid by there so I can put them to one side. But when we're getting into an image like this size, as you can see, it looks like a quite big image, but it depends on what you're putting up against. I don't think the goose is going to be part of this. Things with this, with a branch on them, are perfect for stuff like this. And I don't mind if something loses its tail or part of it. That's probably too small for one book. I'm going to put it by here just in case I come back to it. Stuff like this, you sometimes see things in illustrated guides that are on branches or in realistic scenes. This to me is perfect. So I'm going to leave that one on there because that could potentially go there. Here's another little chippy chappy. And actually it might go on there because there's some orange there. And there's that little robin I had before. Actually, I might put the robin on there for myself because robins are special to me. Right, so these are just birds. They're not birds of prey or anything. So I'm going to start respecting that. Like I wouldn't put an eagle in here now because it doesn't feel like, I mean, like there's a kestrel. I think it's a kestrel, a sparrowhawk. It's beautiful, but this is a predator and these, and well, then you know what I mean. It doesn't feel right to put them on there. So it's like, once again, here's a rooster. It wouldn't be the right sort of bird to put into this collection, as far as I'm concerned. Now, I have this little fellow that I've been playing around with for a while and never yet found anywhere for it to go, and I still haven't found anywhere for it to go. So I'm looking for medium-sized birds, because see, that's too small for that stuff. All of my birds come from basically books, magazines. He's quite cute. Books, magazines. Okay, he might go on there. There's sort of I don't mind that together. Sorry, I was just saying books or magazines. That's a bit big. Or I tend to, when I find things like Reader's Digest has a series of books called the Illustration. Actually, I might be able to reach one. Okay, these are the covers of ones I've gutted in the past because I really like these covers, they're solid. So this is sort of where I'd find stuff from the Reader's Digest ones. Things like Animal Lovers, a lot of my animals came out of this one. You've seen I've used fish already, the fish probably came out of this one. So when I find things like this in my charity or resale shops, then I grab them. And I always keep the covers because the covers are absolutely beautiful. They're really solid covers. I'm thinking I might be there actually, guys. That was a lot quicker than I expected. That's beautiful. Oh, I might be changing that one out for that one. Yes, that works for me. I think what I'm going to do, I've got my birds facing the same way again, haven't I? Well, they'll be facing that way. They'll be looking at her. That's fine. Right, you know me and my stories. Right, so I'm going to take this down the middle and take it off the edge. Just because I want to start building, I don't want to procrastinate until we're into a 3-hour video. Basically, that go back in the scrap box. This lot can go to one side. I'll decide on that later. I said to the side. Now I'm thinking of treating these as a pair of. Are they on the right ones? Because I've just noticed there's blue at the top of this one. And the blue there is likely to be covered up. I wonder whether I should have a bird facing the other way. I think I need to find a right-hand facing bird. We've had this dilemma before, I feel. And that's probably why I gravitated to this one, because it was a right-hand facing bird. Let's have a really quick dig in here. Sorry, guys. Actually, that solved that quite quickly. I'm happy about that. That's a cute little bird. However, the question is that the right background for it? I do quite like that one on there. But he stands out better on there. I think I'm going to stay that way around. As I said, I'm going to put book page on these. So I'm just going to tear this down a bit. Not trying to make it absolutely perfect. One bit may be wider than the other. It depends on just how I feel. And this is tearing quite straight, which is unusual. So there will be some inking involved in this. I don't do a lot of inking, but I do it occasionally when it's the correct decision to ink, I ink. And I don't actually have to conform to a style at the moment, because obviously, what have I got here? I've got things that are not going truly into a journal, not like a writing journal, so I don't have to consider the overall theme. Now I'm wondering, I would normally avoid putting a straight line onto something, but I think I'm going to in this position. And I think, slide you off there, buddy. I'll put that in down there. Chop that little bit off because I don't want it sticking to anything else or my work surface. And then, or me for that instance. And then this one can come down here. Am I in shot? Almost. Right, and I think this one can go right down the edge of there, because there's enough of an expanse of that colour for it to carry across. And just snip off the little bits of excess. I would normally wait until things were fully dried before trimming them, but in this instance I'm not, because we've got a video to get done. I will go around the edges of the tags afterwards. Right, now that's good, and I quite like the fact that the purple pulls in that purple. I now like that because it's much more of a neutral look. So right, so I've decided on those two. This one, as I said, is completely and utterly, this is for me to deal with later. Actually, I'm going to put it to one side. I don't want to be distracted. I want to do it correctly. So I will do that one, and you might see it in a future video at some point. Now, when it comes to this one, do I want to put the book page on that I pulled out? I kind of like this book page. I believe it's French. And I do quite, I don't want it to cover too much though. Or do I like this on its own? Actually, no, I quite like it on its own. It may not have book page at all. Question is, do I need something plain? See, there's so much on here. See, that feels upside down to me. So it would have to be here. If I was going to do anything, it would be about here. Maybe a thin strip down there, or thin-ish strip. Just to ground the branch to. I mean, I'm not planning to attach a branch to it, unless it inadvertently does go on like that. It's just, it needs a little bit of a resting space. Off you go. And I have pulled out numbers, I've pulled out labels, I've pulled out the stuff I normally use, so we'll be good there. Bring this up to the top. I'll re-round that corner afterwards. So, okay, so was that a good decision? I think it possibly was. I'm now getting stuck to stuff. Sticky finger time. Yes, I'm glad I did that. It gives the eye a bit of a resting space. So I'm leaving these. I know they're there. I know need you doing. I just haven't yet got to that point. So I want to come in now and I want to start adding things that will give it interest. Now, I think I want to put a label in, but I think I want to put a blank label into each of them. I know that's probably an unusual thing to think, but I'm thinking I'd quite like to put a blank label in. I don't want the black labels. Nothing against black labels, I just don't want those ones. I've had these black, I think they're chalkboard labels. I've had them for ages, and have I used them? No. Like something like that would work really well across there. Or actually something like that may be working even better. Now there's nothing in it, but does there have to be something in it? Now these need smaller labels. These labels were just collected or stamped, or a lot of these are stamped by me, to be honest, on the edges of book pages and things like that. I quite like that colour for that one. Oh, actually, what's that? No. I think that will do for that one. Right, these are going to go back in the box. Sorry about that. I was trying to be good and put them on there so you could all see what I'm selecting from. Big mistake. Don't do that one again. Because what happens, they all go into the... I don't even know whether there's some stuck in the pockets now as it is. So I'm just going to come around the edges of these just to cover up any white areas that may be sticking out. I'm all fingers and thumbs today. I don't know what it is. Maybe I need more sleep. I wouldn't be at all surprised. So... Now, I could stick another label into this label. I'm unsure at the moment. But I am sure I'm going to stick these down just while they're in front of me, because if I don't, I will forget where they're going to go. And then I'll change my mind when I see something else and go, oh, that's better than that. But I'd rather just get these down. A bit of a smush with the smoother. So I don't consciously follow a formula when I'm doing stuff like this. However, if I watch my videos back, I tend to do the same sort of things when I'm doing them. That's not a conscious thing. That is purely just subconsciously where my eye leads for things to be. And that across there, is that straight? Possibly not. That's as straight as it's going to be now. And you need to come off there. Spent about 20 minutes this morning trying to wash glue off this mat because I keep getting lazy and I keep forgetting to put my sticky mats down. Right, so we're getting there with those. Now, the other thing to consider, by the way, when I'm building this one, if I do this, you can now see all I've got as a playing field is that. So anything basically from the dots below is not going to be seen. So I'm trying to be conscious of that as well. Right, I would like to put, I call them elements. Where's my elements box? Right, elements are just things that fit into the background or are just not 100% necessary, but just really like a little label, a little something, a bit of handwriting on the side. I don't mind that, but that's just not the right one. So look, I put it on top of there again. Does Ceri ever learn a lesson? Is this a label? It looks like a label. A label. Yes, it is a label. I like a label because sometimes a label gives me transparency, so I can see slightly what's underneath it. I just come in, move this little one over, get off. You're not stuck down yet, so don't resist me. Pop that there. I will not be sewing around these, by the way, just in case you remember the ones I did the other day. So I want something across there, I feel. Actually, that's not bad because it's not a million miles away from that colour. You also label? I'd like you to be a label. You are a label. Good egg. I just hit you with my glasses? Sorry. My fingers get so sticky. It's probably because I put so much glue on everything, that's why. Right. What's that? You a sticker? You're not a sticker, but I do quite like you. I think I'm going to put that in that corner. It's a little bit heavier than paper stock, but I think I'll get away with it using a glue stick, knowing the amount of glue that I put on stuff. And putting it the right way up would help. Now this is one of these elements I know is not going to be seen. It might just peek over the top of a pocket, but it's not really going to be seen. Right, so I'll put elements on. Oh, look at that, it says flight. Do I want that? I do want that. That caught my eye for a reason, and this feels like a sticker as well. I'm almost certain you are. Yes, you are. I'm getting a bit better with getting backs off stickers. I will never be great at it, but I do the best I can. I quite like that because it sort of fills in that little gap there, and it's in theme, and it works with the background colours, and it says flight on it. How charming. Now I have my stamped numbers and I have Tracy Fox numbers. And I want to start thinking about this as well, because I will have numbers down here. Excuse me. That works for me there. And I know I say it in every video, but with me, it's all about layers. I love a piece of art that you look at, but you have to continue to look at it to work out what it's about. As I said before, I think that's why I like abstract work, because when you see abstract in a gallery or a museum or wherever you are, you have to think and put yourself into the place of the artist and go, what's this artist trying to tell me? I mean, maybe that's me just thinking too deeply, to be honest, but I don't think it is. I like that idea. This has sort of caught my eye for here. I think I'm going to stick that one down. The pockets don't need to be overly decorated because they will just distract from whatever the tag is. Actually, I wonder whether I put it vertical. No, actually, I want it on this side. That makes more sense to me. Right, I was looking at these, weren't I? I love using these things, but they're just a bit big for that. I don't think it's right for that. All of these here are just stamped pieces that are like edges of books. They're just stuff, really. Whenever I find a blank bit, it's like, that's the edge of a book page there. Whenever I find something that's just blank, I will throw it into a box, and then that box, whenever I'm not feeling in the mood to do something else, I'll probably come in, or I'm having a slump day, I'll just spend the day stamping new labels and new numbers and stuff like that. We can go there. Now, Tracy Fox is a digital creator who has, I believe she's got a Ko-fi shop. I don't know because I've never gone on to Ko-fi, but I do know that she has an Etsy store called Love Junk Journals, and that's where I would pop on and pick them up from. So her name is Tracy, Tracie Fox, and her channel is Love Junk Journals. That appeals to me. I quite like to snip these corners. Let's just get that stuck. That's going to go there. I didn't ink the edges of this on purpose because I like the clean lines of the green. Now we're almost there with this one, because that's kind of where it will be. I need to consider whether I want to put a saying or a word or something into there. I would quite like something. I don't like the fact that this says Sagittarius. It keeps putting me off. This needs something in here. Would a flower be out of place? It most certainly would. I don't mind introducing a little bit of colour as well, like something like that, if it made sense to the piece. I don't mind a little bit of a circle. So where are you actually going on here? You're going there, aren't you? Actually, I think up there is where I want that. I don't use many round labels, and the reason being, I find it really hard to cut them. It's that bad. Unless it fits my punch, unless my punch is having a good day, anything round doesn't get cut. Right. This feels like it needs something there. Not that, though. Something with the signature work. That looks too dark. I wouldn't mind adding a little touch of colour to this one. What's that? That's too big. Oh, wait, there's a bit of purple on it. Come on, I can't get hold of you. Is that going to be too many labels? Not if I put it down there, it's not. The reason I say that is because this label and this label will be touching or overlapping slightly, which then in my mind makes them one label. And I like the fact that I can add purple to this piece. I'll overlap it in such a way that they do look overlapped, they're not one covering up the other. Oops. Now, just for a little breeze through here, I do have these labels, which are also Tracy Fox, I believe. Actually, I quite like that label better than that label. Wonder whether I can get this label off. Yeah, if I'm careful, I'll get that off. I don't mind if it's tearing what's underneath it, because to be honest with you, the label going over the top is bigger than the label I'm taking off. I'm not afraid to make decisions like that, guys. If I think it's the best thing for the piece I'm working on, I will very often take things off, even if it damages the stuff underneath it. I know I can cover it up or repair it or do in such a way over the top. And this just caught my eye and just looked like exactly the right piece. So if I now put that over there, only the 84,500 people that you are will know I've done that. And I like the fact that his head now stands out, because I think that's what's bothering me here, is I like this bird, but it's just not popping off the card for me. We may even go back and look for another bird. So I'm looking at this at the moment, to be honest with you. So I'm off shot there, I know. I quite like that on there, actually. Let's just put that on there. That doesn't feel like a sticker, so we should be safe. That's happy. Just like something here. I keep being drawn to this, but it's not right. And please don't ask me to explain my not right. I just don't know what not right means. I don't mind that though. I'm trying to avoid putting too much colour on the page when there's already a huge amount of colour on the page. Right, I'm considering those pockets done. It's really weird, like when my mind sees something and just doesn't like it anymore, I can't get past it. See, I don't mind him. I really like crows, rooks, ravens, jackdaws, those sort of birds. Maybe I just need to dig a little bit deeper in this box because I've already come out of there so I can get to the ones below you. So I would like something looking, oh, they're sweet. Pity they're too wide. I wouldn't have a duck because we've not got waterfowl here. Those are rub-ons. Oh, you're quite dynamic. What are you? Is that a cuckoo? I think that's the one that's going to go on there, I think. So when we come back, we will do a close-up and take a look at the finished project. I will also get my number and my name put in here, or my signature. Hopefully that bit's going to rub off. I don't know what that is. Whatever it is, it's there. Okay, so bear with me. I'll be back in 2 and we'll do a close-up view. So here we go, guys. The pockets are all in, ready to go. I've signed it. I've put the numbers on it. This is the big journal card. Now, remember, as I said, if I was using this for a real journal, I would probably have backed this, but I don't mind keeping this lightweight for this journal because it's not going to be written on anyway. So if I slide this in, slide it down. There you go. So my birds are just seen. That's special. Now, the purple one was opposite there, so it's going to go over here. And he'll slide down in there. And this one is coming in on this side. Now, it's not intentional, but I'm going to line the edges up on this one as well, because that one lined up on there. I quite like he's peeking over. As I said, something may come to me to go in there, and I think what I will do is if I find a phrase or something I really like, I will stamp it onto tissue and then glue it into there. But if I do that, I will revisit this page in one of my future makes. But hopefully you enjoyed that. I'm Ceri the Crafter. That's Ceri the Crafter. Until next time. Goodbye now.